Hey folks, how's it going? We've got a United fight coming up in January and it's going to be fire favorite. From here until then, we still have a few weeks, so that should be plenty of time to prepare properly for it. As always, let's begin with characters. Here I'll be looking for a few things, mainly unworldly charge attack damage for OTK, as well as free nukes or automatic skill activations. For the longer fights, I'll be looking for echo buffers, assassins, and generally anything that can amplify the damage the team is going to deal. While for the latest stages of the fight, the most important aspects are going to be dispels, possibly dispel cancels, and a lot of survivability. So let's start from the top of the list and just go through the entire character box. Now, Yuel. Boost to damage cap, boost to healing specs, she has an echo in here, that's pretty neat, 3 turns out of 6, as well as guaranteed triple attack and double strike. Extra supplemented damage is also pretty decent, and even though she's seen a pretty big fall in usage, she might still be nice for the Nightmare 95s. Next, for the extra bonuses, Awakening is only level 8, might need to go up to 9, but the EMPs look fine. 15% CA cap is alright, and I guess I can replace the triple attack, so earring might be the one that goes. Next up, we got Agielba coming up with 80% damage reduction and an automatic skill activation. Let's see, tank encounter, full force counter, this is a substitute but not for AoEs, which is not ideal in a United fight situation. Maybe 150-200s, but we'll have to see. Awakening is stuck to level 1, EMPs he has nothing, Ring is only 10% crit rate, and he has no earring, so he will need to be set up from scratch. Anila sadly fell off quite hard, but she still does bring a pretty decent buff in here. Next we have Zeta, who is both an assassin and a double dispeller. She also has guaranteed triple attack, but she has to press a skill for it, which is something you don't normally want to do. Awakening level 8. Crit, the attack on Braid, EMPs look fine. Some CA cap on the ring, it's alright, 10%. Maybe switch the earring out. Next up we have Tien. Now, the Eternals are always a bit special when it comes to United fights, since once you collect all 10, they start with 10% extra charge bar, which lets you do 3 chain and 2 chain setups, with double Huanglong. She's very likely going to be useful for the Nightmare 95s as well, especially if you want to run Street King or the new extended masteries on the Bandit Tycoon. Awakening level 9, EMPs look fine, 9% CA cap, I might want to replace the ring, supplemental plus 9. This may go up to 12, but I'm not sure if I want to reroll this. Now, Metera has an echo consuming a seal here, and this is an 80% one. She doesn't have a guaranteed triple attack though, or maybe she needs to press a button here. Awakening level 8, EMPs is just crit, attack, some skill cap, looks fine. She has no ring and no earring. Might be a candidate for the Nightmare 95s, especially since I don't have Summer Mimlemel and I don't have Grand Percival, so I will have to work something out for that. Moving on, S.Beatrix. She's an assassin. She needs a lot of clicking. I think with someone like Zeta and Tien we might already be fine. Something similar would probably go for Storm, but she has a double activation for Blitzkrieg which also delays. Might be nice for the 150s, maybe not sure for the 200 since it's just a delay. Awakening level 8, EMPs are 18 out of 18 and they look fine. 8 dodge rate on the ring, 8 supplemental damage on the earring. I would say that's fine on both sides. Next up, Grea for hit bonus fire damage against foe with Draco Force, if only she didn't need to click this. But she has a pretty interesting double dispel as well as ignoring a defense buff on the enemies. I really hope they're going to give her a 5-star sometime, but I'm pretty sure that's not going to happen before the United fight. Now, Throw. Debuff duration extension, and as far as I know, her 5-star activates Indominus on normal attacks, can only be used after strength up right, and her damage skills can be activated twice. So double dispel and a pretty neat heal and clear spam. I think she might be decent to bring up to 5-star before the United fight, and that's likely going to be the brunt of my grinding. Awakening level 8, 18 out of 18, that's the 88 crits. I think I might want to take out some the double attack and bring healing up, especially if she needs to heal a lot. The healing and crit looks fine, and she has no earring. That's something that's going to have to be fixed, especially if I want to try and mainline her. Alaran should still be decent for Nightmare 95s, hopefully. Most of what he brings is just attack up and echo. Oh right, free clears from the backline. Almost forgot it had this. Crits and fire attack looks fine. Over mastery, it's going to need a new ring and a new earring. Not to mention all the domain unlocks. Now Shiva, boosts Shiva's attack for 1 time, 1 turn cut to skill cooldowns, and Inner Eye awakens for a nice assassin. For longer fights, might be a decent DPS. Purifying Flames brings defense down and damage over time, 5 turns out of 11 for a damage cap boost, tank and counter twice, as well as damage amplification, and a full heal. So if anything, he's likely going to be very nice to have in the backline, just in case someone dies and you're going to need healing later down the fight. Awakening level 8, it's going to need a lot more EMP, 12% CA cap, 7 triple attack, looks fine, but it's going to need an earring. Next is Athena. Fantastic tank, I don't think we're going anywhere without a little blondie here. Armor, damage cut, refresh, dispel cancel, blind, delay, and a ton of nukes. Not to mention the damage immunity. It's ready in 10 turns though, so likely only going to be useful against the Nightmare 200s. Still, that's going to be her slot. Awakening level 8, defense, cap, charge bar gain. Now hostility is something I never picked up, because if you pick hostility up, it's very likely that she's just going to die sooner. Without hostility, all the damage is at least spread throughout the team. Skill cap, defense, I say the ring is fine. 20% fire attack from the earring, might want to replace this though. She has a lot of skill activations, a pretty decent multi-hit nuke, so if she can get a supplemental damage, that might be better. Fire Siegfried activates when Dragon, skill nuke, plus defense down. Even comes with a boost to CA specs. Awakening 8, defense, some CA damage, some CA cap. With damage reduction, don't think we care. More CA cap and some fire attack. So I think most of it should be fine. Fire Elmott, when a foe uses a special attack, activates Burner Bomb, as well as give her 1 piece. That's just a single nuke. 1 CA damage, some CA cap, 14% CA cap. Might want to give her a shot as well. She does need an earring though. Next we got Christmas Nemone. She might be a little bit old, but honestly for longer fights, even though she doesn't heal that much, Roselle Wealth brings a pretty decent amount of damage. And I've been using her in conjunction with Athena and Medusa for skill damage spam. She's been decent, maybe she can have a slot in the next United fight as well. Defense is fine, stamina is fine, extra healing is fine, counter on damage might need to be replaced. Fire Vasaraga and cooldown for no pain. Oh, another unworldly. Oh, can only be used when almost knocked out. Yeah, that knocks Vasaraga out of this list. Activates Sight of Greenoth when a foe uses a special attack. When almost knocked out, activates Sight of Greenoth at the end of the turn. Okay, scratch that, Vasaraga might actually be interesting, but that's going to depend mostly on how much damage he can take. If Summer Belial can let him get close to death, then he can activate Sight of Greenoth for free, twice, maybe. We'll have to try him out. Awakening is only level 1, and he's going to need everything. Next up, S.Kumbhira. As far as I remember, all she gets is a damage amplified, but for that too, she's going to need clicking. When she has counter, guaranteed through attacks, and echo, activates Reckless Abandon upon taking turn-based damage. When Lance stays at 12 at the end of the turn, consumes all 12 to deal damage to random foes. Oh right, she needs the Rest of the Beast hub in order to function properly. We'll have to check her out still, maybe for Nightmare 95s, maybe for the 150s, if they don't deal that much damage. Crits, hostility, skill cap, some healing, skill cap, triple and triple. Might want to just replace this one for supplemental damage. Shion, turn card to skill cooldown, bonus damage based on the number of katana specialty allies in party, up to maximum of 6 hits. That's enough to make her qualify, but that's not all, because if I remember correctly, she gets a multi-nuke on Tempura Flurry, as well as a triple attack and double strike, which might make her a pretty decent burster for 95s as well as 100 and maybe 150s. 17 out of 18 EMPs tells me this looks fine. DA cap, DA 5 supplemented. 5 supplemented is a little bit low, might want to reroll this, but at the same time it's also kind of fine. Hey, Izmir, Yukata Izmir, Unworldly CA, let's start with that. Activates Steam Flow, which is a buffing skill. Oh, she does bring a CA supplemented for everyone though. Wind damage amplified. The only problem with this is that hers is 20%, while the Seraphic is 23 and the Ultima is 25. So it's not really enough to free a grid slot anymore. Awakening 9, I have been using her a lot. Defense, CA damage, CA cap. Ooh, Echo on Icy Smile, that's not bad. CA cap, dodge, stamina, I think this is fine. Next up we have Elmott, boost to all allies, CA damage and CA cap, that's not bad. Dispel, when Elmott has 10 buffs, activates twice. That sounds perfect to be run with a Kango setup. When a foe uses special attacks, activates Searing Scorcher, which is the 700% damage. I wonder if this actually works with the Fryer chain, because if it does, that's 2 free nukes for the EX pluses. Boost to CA damage and CA cap based on the number of buffs, that's also really nice. I don't think I've ever tried him though. The Awakening 9, 6 EMPs, so he's going to need a lot of these too. He's got CA damage, he's got CA cap, that's a pretty good start. Yeah, I think a crit and fire attack should be good enough. 11 out of 18, might just want to pick some basic attack in here, even though it shouldn't be all that needed. 10% CA cap, so he's going to need an earring, at least that. But he looks like a pretty good character for both OTK as well as the later nightmares. He should be spamming a ton of these spells. Now, Vera is another one of those special characters, because Cage of Light inflicts a Divine Jail for 1 turn, which is pretty interesting on top of the delay, but her best feature is going to be Vermilion Aegis, which lets her tank everything, including AoEs. Not to mention converting everything and nullifying normal foe attacks, so for 3 turns every 7, your entire team is basically immune to enemy damage. She's honestly the only reason why I can even run Zeta, and I'm pretty sure she might end up being pretty decent for the Nightmare 200s as well. Awakening level 8, defense, CA damage, lots of CA cap. Oh, no support skill yet. CA cap, defense, earring might need to be replaced, not a fan of the counters on damage. Everything else looks fine though. Next we move on to Summer Medusa, mirror image effect to all allies, which is not going to come into play during the United fight, since most of the attacks are just AoEs, but she gets a 1 turn dodge, which can at least save her. Partial reflection, debuff immunity, she brings a veil, that's nice. Second skill, multi-hit nuke, and Dispel, this is a pretty great skill as well. Serpent Surfer raises by 1 at the end of the turn if she didn't take damage, which might be a little bit difficult against the Nightmare 200s, but with the charge attacks and with Athena we can hope this is actually not that hard to stack. 18 out of 18, that's defense, fire attack, CA damage, looks fine. More skill cap, more defense, fantastic, but the earring I will really want to replace. Got 35 of these, so I will likely go ham afterwards, and here I definitely want supplemental damage. Yukata Silva with an Unworldly CA, as well as a damage amplify for 6 hits afterwards. That's with no buttons as well. Only issue is that if you want her to give double strike to the ally in the next position, you need to click one skill button, which is not really ideal. Still, Bookkeeper for the Unworldly, 18 out of 18, that's CA damage, CA cap, that's done, 13 cap up, and she doesn't need supplemented, so 18% fire attack is also pretty decent. Now, Mirin might get listed here just because she's a katana character and she can go in a team with Shion. Other than that though, not sure if I want to try something for the Nightmare 150s with her and Shion, but I think it might be fun. And if I use a special attack and cooldown for Resplendent Slice and activates Melon Festival if Mirin has a watermelon. That's just the heal and turn cut to debuff duration though. A bit more of a defensive setup, but we'll see. Might want to pick some defense in here. Take away the extra charge bars. This should be enough with 1 and 1. The cap 8 is a bit low. Fire attack, might want to keep this, is 15%. Now the character with an unworldly CA damage and cooldown for damage skill activates twice on the 10th turn onward, which is something that's only really reachable for the Nightmare 200s, I think. Oh yeah, he has some supplemented damage, but just for himself. Awakening level 9. Got crit, got skill cap, CA damage shouldn't be needed. That chance for damage skills to activate twice. And yeah, skill damage, supplemented damage. Everything looks fine here. Might not be that useful for OTK, but considering I don't have Willness, he should be dealing a similar amount of damage. Next we have Anderson. Oh, activates the first nuke on normal attacks. Okay, that's interesting. And I'm also pretty sure I never used them, so Awakening level 1 needs everything down here. Mihail. Sweet Mihail. Nothing on charge attack, just boost to attack and uplift. Ignis Words brings some really nice buffs, and the third skill brings a very nice Dispel and Delay, which auto-activates when everyone does enough charge attacks. Worst case scenario, she's just going to be a backline buffer, but she does bring some pretty decent buffs as well. Awakening level 9, the fact that she has 1000 EMPs should tell you all about her usage. Crit, skill, CA damage, CA cap, yeah, EMPs look fine. CA cap and DA, that looks fine. Supplemented damage plus 5 might need to be changed. It's always the earrings for some reason. Nedza, 3-turn cut to skill cooldowns, activates Flashfire Gale after normal attacks. Flashfire Gale is fire and wind damage to a foe, same thing as Anderson, but it gets guaranteed real attacks with 2 other Primal Pulse in team, so might be a bit easier to use compared to Anderson, but still, much like him, Awakening level 1, no EMPs, no ring, no earring. Now big missing items in here are going to be characters like Percival, Willness, Hecate don't think I care too much about, nor do I care too much about Ragazzo, but Kane and Dorothy and Claudia might hurt a little bit. So Percival very likely going to be at the core of the entire guild war for 1 skill and 1 skill alone, the team-wide tag team, which also gives a 30% echo. That's going to be amazing for anything, either OTK if your ping is fast enough and you can just press this, and for the Nightmare 95s. Very likely 100 and 150s as well. Next we have Willness bringing a crap ton of assassin spams. It doesn't deal multi-attack, no charge bar gain upon normal attack, but a 50% normal attack amplified, as well as counter and an auto activation for Flame Claw on normal attacks. Like, this is an assassin. If you can get him to do a double strike, which is pretty easy, just need either Percival or Berserker MC with the proper key on the Dark Opus. That's a free assassin right there. Holiday Came, 20% charge bar, activates up to 3 times. This can be another 100% boost to charge bar alongside Alanan. Crit, 15% damage cap, 20% echo, also not bad. Might be decent for some burst content, probably not for the later fights. That's where Dorothy and Claudia might come in. 20% damage amplified on charge attack, free delay on charge attack, and Summer Link, which lets them activate both skills. Oh yeah, skill 1 switches though. But even on full auto, they're still going to use the echo before switching. So Seaside Service is still at 3 turns. That's first swap on turn 1, second swap on turn 3, third swap on turn 6. so anything that goes on for longer than 6 turns can see them basically wreak havoc. Oh well, no use crying over characters I don't have. Let's just start dividing these characters into what they can do, starting with the EX pluses. But when it comes to this, I think I might want Tien in almost any team for the 10% bar alone, and then it will depend. Instead, Katanas if you want to run something with Shion. That might take also Siegfried as well as Mirin. Everything else is just fair game. Then we have the Nightmare 95s, and for these it's going to be Echoes and Assassins. Tien, Metera, maybe try some S.Kumbhira once again, maybe try Shion again for some CA comp. Some CA comp with Shion and Yukata Silva might actually be fine. When it comes to the rest though, yeah, it's a little bit more difficult. Nightmare 100s I don't really farm, but then we have the Nightmare 150s, which are also just on for one day. And for these we might want something a little bit more tanky, Athena, Medusa and another buffer, be it Christmas Nemone or another decent support character. But I mostly expect to use these three for the 150s and 200s. Alright, now I guess we can go on to the weapons. When it comes to unite and fight, most of the low level fights are usually run with either one long main summon or Babs, while the longer fights are usually run with a Lucifer 250. So trying to run a crit build with the Ancient XX might not really be the way to go. So we might see a lot more EX weapons coming back. The Exo Daggers here, I farm 3, but I don't really expect to use more than 2. The Mugen Swords is something I really need to farm more of. And then we have the Ennead weapons, as well as the Shiva Staffs. Still, running Shiva Staffs in 2024 kind of hurts. But this should be the last guild. Oh no, it's not. After this fire one, we're going to have an Earth Guild War in February, and that one is going to be the last Guild War before Magna 3. Until then, we've got to suffer. So weapons for the EX pluses are likely going to be Exo Daggers. If I had Mugen Swords, probably attack based Mugen Swords. Of course there's the Ennead weapons. Got the staffs that bring a boost to charge attack damage, and the spears supplemented damage based on stamina, which is not that bad. Arcanum weapon, still have to level it up, very likely going to be extremely helpful. Let's start putting something together. Of course we start with the EX Plus, so let's start with a simple 3-chain. Double Alabad, of course a Dark Opus weapon. Oh, and speaking of Dark Opus weapons, having a second one with an Echo Chain for the double strike on Berserker, always a great choice. Might want to keep the Chrysaor MC, since they have a nuke on Chain Burst. As for the weapons, I think I might want to run back to these. When main weapon fire damage to all foes at the end of the turn upon taking damage, and MC is going to take damage. Secondary doesn't really matter all that much, since MC is not going to be doing charge attacks. And let's just put a second one here, why not? When it comes to Magna modifiers, I think I might want to just run a couple of these, which leaves 2 slots open. Now honestly, if I had the Lord of Flame, I would probably be running the Lord of Flame in here. I don't think this is going to do much. Summon, yeah, kill in here, and anything that has high stats. Yeah, this looks good. Four, 8, 12, 13, 14 buffs. So running Elmott, he should also do the double skill cast. Yeah, we're down to 13% before the counters even. No Chrysaor activation, no Great Fire activation. Nice and easy clear. 6.2, 3.9, 8 million from Siegfried, and 6.1 from Agilba. We are not replacing Mihail. Hopefully not replacing Mihail isn't going to be a problem. 4 million plus 1.6. They might still clear, but I get the feeling Shion's damage is going to be lower compared to Agielba's. 6.4. I'm basically there. These should still be pretty easy. If they ever decide to continue. If they ever decide to start. Oh, 3.3, that's pretty low damage. Okay, no, even with all these buffs, the activation is single. That's a little bit sad. Again, this is all 3 chains, then we'll have to figure out a way to go down to 2. But looking at the amount of damage these characters are doing, yeah, not too sold about it. Yeah, these unworthy are 6.5 and 6.6 before counters. And they didn't even get to counter. Oh, yeah, 6.5, 6.6. I think even on 2 chains I might still want to run Silva. Just run these 2 and a triple attack character up there. Because we still get 6 hits for wide open, which are only going to be consumed by the counters. Would need to be something like this. But yeah, no, it's 1.3 millions, it's nothing. Now, I do think I want to keep Chrysaor up there. And I think I want to keep these 2 in here. I'm pretty sure Manadiver was dealing roughly the same amount of damage. Now this with the Exo Dagger, as this would basically be the same thing. As for the Manatura, Yggdrasil Mino. I guess the Yggdrasil Mino didn't even proc, because this is down to 4 million. Alright, since it looks like we can't really go down to a 2 chain for the EX pluses, let's move on to the Netman 95s. And we're going to start with the usual suspects, just Tien and Zeta for Assassin, and Yuel for an extra Echo. She has a double strike too, but since MC already gives it, I guess that's not really going to come into play. As for the greed, I want to try first with a couple of Exo Daggers, as well as the supplemented damage spears, and then maybe replace one with the Michael X and see if and how much the damage improves. Honestly, Fire United Fight without Yatima, without Wilnas, without Percival, this is not going to be fun. But let's see how they do. I was kind of surprised last Guild War having a 2-turn setup for full auto for the Nightmare 95s, so if I can reach a similar result, I'm just going to call myself happy. The Nightmare 95s are up for just 1 day anyway, and they're not even the ones that give the most amount of honors, so it should be pretty damn chill too. If we are going to sweat, it's going to be against the Nightmare 200s. And that's turn 3. Also keep in mind that this is without the counters, so Summer Belial doesn't come into effect in here, and there are no enemy triggers, just in case that could work on something. So 130 millions. Now let's replace one of these daggers with the Michael X, and see if we can break the 130 millions. Nightmare 95 should have 131, so we are already pretty close. And since it's just normal attacks, even if it comes down to a 3-turn setup, it should still be plenty fast. $97, the damage looks very similar. And that's turn 3. For a grand total of 134 millions. And that's 4 million more just with the X down there. That's pretty sweet. Now, if I wanted to change these characters, I think Tien has to stay in. And Yuel brings a pretty decent echo, so she's likely going to stay in as well. First one that's going to be replaced is likely going to be Zeta. But let's give Michael a try first. See if her echo can actually compete with Yuel. Even though, due to the lack of multi-hits, I'm actually not sure she's going to do a similar job. Oh, right. Probably important that Yuel also brings a multi-attack buff, because they did nothing here, outside of the first turn at least, going down to 114 millions. Yeah, frontline Michael is not going to be a thing. Let's try maybe Metera. She has an 80% echo. While not an assassin, it might actually last for the entire 3 turns. Ah, the single attacks. The single attacks are killing her. Looks like neither Michael nor Metera frontline are going to be a thing. Which leads us to S.Beatrix. Because she's still going to activate all 3 skills on turn 1. She's going to be guaranteed to attack on turn 2, which I guess is not bad. But for the 3rd turn, she's going to turn that off. Oh, not to mention she gets double strike by herself. So maybe running her with Berserker is not really going to be a great idea. Assassin damage seems to be a little bit lower compared to Zeta as well. And yeah, she turns her own skill off right here. Yeah, that was not a great show, down to 127 millions, with 28.9 from Beatrix. Still sort of similar damage compared to Zeta. She was between 29 and 27. Next up we've got S.Kumbhira, and she too has a skill with a 0-turn cooldown. You know, hers is also just a damage amplification, it's not a proper assassin skill either. But maybe against the proper Nightmare 95, if she can actually get to counter, her damage might go up a little bit. As long as she doesn't die, that is. And that's the damage and back up. Couple of skill nukes as well, but not enough to proc her 12 hits. 127. 24.8. So looks like for an assassin setup I'm kind of stuck with Zeta here, but maybe we can try something different as well. The only downside is the charge attack based setups are usually way slower. But we'll see, I still want to keep this one saved because it might be fun. $90 million, basically the same amount of damage as the first one. And 40. I might be able to stop on 2 turns. This is going way overkill. Yeah, that's 162. I mean, with the CA animations and the extra skill presses, it's not really going to end up saving time. Let's put our hands forward like this. A 1.4 million assassins from Chrysaor look really, really good. And yeah, that's 130 million, almost on the dot. And oh yeah, I want the double strike on Yuel as well. She doesn't get it for free anymore. $100 million just on turn 1, that's not bad. And that's 27 on turn 2. That's pretty close already. 135 million in 2 turns, compared to the 3 turns of Berserker. Not too shabby. I guess this is also where I might want to try S.Beatrix to replace Zeta, you know, since now Zeta doesn't get a free double strike. Yeah, that looks pretty nice as well. 109 million though. Actually not that much damage over her colleague. And 29. There is still 139. A little bit damage over, with S.Beatrix going up to 31.5. And yeah, considering this can be 2 turns clear, I think I might actually just stick with the Manadiver over the Berserker. 139 should be pretty safe too. Well, rest of the United fight is just going to come down to the 150s and 200s, but for those, I think I want to see the raid mechanics first. Still pretty sure I'm going to be running Athena, Medusa and either Nemone or another healer in here. Alright then, I guess that's going to be it for me from the moment. As always, Thanks a lot for watching, good luck with your United Fight preparation, especially with your Mugen grind, and see you around soon. Ciao!